straight to the crib. Alright, yeah, I ain't going back to using no wallet. Yeah, put that money in.
Welcome back to the YouTube channel, guys. It's Jay Ayyo. So today I'm going to be talking about Dune Part 2. But before we get into Dune Part 2, just to give you all a little bit of the backdrop story in terms of Dune Part 1 that came out maybe 2 years, a year and a half ago. Basically what you have happening is where you have the Paul Atreides house, which is the house that he's assigned to. So the way how that starts basically is that the emperor tells Paul Atreides' father to say, hey, you need to go to Arrakis. Arrakis primarily was held by the Arcanon, or the, yeah, I believe it's the Arcanon. I might be mixing up the names here, but regardless, it was held by another house, and that house had to leave. Now, the bottom line is the emperor was setting up the Atreides house because the emperor got intimidated in terms of the voice and that nature. Long story short, Paul Atreides' family goes to Arcanon. There's the Fremen there, which, you know, I'll fast forward to Dune 2 to tell you a little bit more about that. But there's the Fremen there at is it Araxis? It might be Araxis. It probably is Araxis. So Araxis is where the Atreides family goes. What they have there, everybody really wants, is spice. So spice is what is used to power the ships. You know, it gives a lot of influence, it gives a lot of power. Whoever has control of Araxis, they're really influential. So like I said, the emperor set them up in that aspect because the emperor just wanted to get rid of them, more or less. So pretty much Paul Atreides gets attacked. His dad dies, which is known as the Duke. His mom, which is Lady Jessica, escapes with him barely. The Reverend Mother, who is Lady Jessica's mom and is Paul Atreides' grandmother, kind of putting a little word to say, hey, take care of my grandson, take care of my daughter. They escape the attack. They get in contact with the Freemen. Paul Atreides has to prove himself to the Fremen that, you know, he can, you know, hang with them, he can vibe with them. What I did forget to mention is that Paul Atreides has been having, you know, visions, you know, when he go to sleep, he has visions and things of that nature. His mom is training him up in the way, more or less, before the attack. And his grandmother, which is the Reverend Mother, who advises the emperor, you know, tests him to see, oh, if he really can do it. So that's the backstory with Dune 1. So coming into Dune 2, so Dune 2 is what you would say it's the sequel to Dune 1. Dune 2 was released on March the 1st, 2024. Now, I went out to watch it because, you know, I am, you know, really big in these, you know, want to see the quality. You know, I was looking at Rotten Tomatoes, you know, scoring, and, you know, I really wanted to make sure, like, okay, it's accurate. They're not just pulling this out the bag. But suffice to say, Dune 2 meets expectations, in my opinion. Now, spoiler alert, if you haven't watched Dune 2 and you don't want to get any spoilers, and I won't really give much spoilers, I'll just give like a general overview. So the way how Dune 2 more or less starts out is that, okay, Paul Atreides is in the Freeman community. He is technically accepted, but he still has to prove himself regardless, because there are sacred traditions that the men have. Now, Paul Atreides, which is portrayed by Timothée Chalamet, like I said, he's learning the traditions. He's trying to get on good ground with them. His mother, Lady Jessica, is there. the opening scene has to do with a big fight where we're still cultivating the land. The Harkonnen are the ones who've now taken back control since the Atreides family has left or have been viewed as decimated. The Harkonnen have come back, trying to cultivate the spice. Paul Atreides is attacking Harkonnen's cultivation ships. It is getting the Baron very frustrated. He doesn't like any of this. He is telling his nephew to like, hey, get this in control. I don't like this out of pocket behavior at all. So that goes on. Obviously Paul Atreides' girlfriend, which is Chani, played by Zendaya. Bear in mind, Zendaya had not as much screen time in Dune 1, but in Dune 2 she has way more screen time than in Dune 1 at the end of the day. So that is what they do. They go to fight attacks or they go to have attacks with the Harkonnen. As the story develops and it gets later down, there is what you would say an inevitable war that is happening. The Fremen look at developing what they need to have to really take back the land that the Harkonnens are ravaging, really creating a mock-up. At the end of the day, I would say, as it develops, the Harkonnen, as you can tell, they're very harsh people. They're just downright evil at the end of the day. But as the story unfolds, and I don't really want to mention it because I want everyone to take a minute to really watch that movie. In terms of really the direction, the action was really good. The content, I would say, was sufficient. It sufficed. When you really look at the plot, it really showcases that Paul Atreides is, as much as he is viewed as a chosen one, he does not view himself as a chosen one. He's very humble. He really wants to understand his place. What you could say, more of a soul-searching expedition he goes on. He primarily is in one area. He doesn't want to go in the other area. And what I mean by one area, I think he is in the north. The true believers, one could say, they live in the south. Now he doesn't want to go into the south because of the traditional views, the Bene Gesserit. They've been setting little stories, more or less, and Paul Atreides understands that he is viewed as the savior, but he wants to come to that on his own. He doesn't want to be forced really into anything, and really taking up that role until he is actually truly ready. And so one could say his coming to moment was when he gets on the worm. So there's a process with the Fremen where you call the worm. He's being tested, more or less. He's mentored by one of the Fremen men, and he takes the test of calling the worm. And the worm that he calls is the grandfather of all worms, more or less. He rides that worm. It shows his ability to really be a leader, come into his long story short, they are attacked by the Harkonnen, which is through the Baron's younger nephew, who he likes more. At the end of the day, it comes to that moment where the Atreides and Harkonnen and the Emperor, they do fight, they do get into it. One special thing I forgot to note was that Paul Atreides, well, through his mother, Lady Jessica, who becomes a Reverend Mother, is pregnant with his sister, and the mother is talking literally with the sister in her womb. There's a thing where it says that, you know, Lady Jessica shouldn't be pregnant while being a Reverend Mother, but this had to do with the fact that she had conceived prior to the attack, prior to becoming the Reverend Mother. Overall, I would give more or less Dune 2, I would say a 9. You know, regardless if you have a perfect movie, there still will be flaws in it. For me, when we talk about plot, we're gonna say 8. When we're gonna talk about, you know, content, we're gonna say 8.5, you know. And when we say, you know, being able to deliver all that is within that movie, I would say 9, because it takes a lot. It takes a lot to execute a movie that, you know, keeps you on your seat. You feel that adventure, you feel the action, you feel the emotion throughout it, which I think the director really captured at the moment. And just the scenes alone were breathtaking at the end of the day. So, you know, I would tell anyone, you know, who hasn't watched Dune to give it a, you know, it is family friendly at the end of the day. And you know, that in a nutshell is my synopsis of Dune 2. Guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see y'all in the next video.
The phone from them straight to the green. Alright.